Hello everybody, welcome. I'm Zoe Alex, welcome. So basically, this is going to be for the day of the week of August the 18th to August the 23rd of 2025. So this is going to be a tarot card reading, what's going to be happening. I know that this might help you, maybe not, but it all depends on how this during the week is going to go. Basically, it's going to be very interesting indeed. Because the way how this is, I hope that everything will be all great, but it's going to be very promising indeed, right? So the way of this is, I hope that you all like it. Like I say, please give a like, please give a comment if you want. But the way of this is, I hope that everything is going to be all good, and you have to understand that, right? That's how it goes. But this is the way it seems to be. I know how it's going to be very interesting indeed, and you have to know what's right, what's wrong, what's going to be compatible to you. But the way how this is the way it goes. So you could be maybe dealing with another, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. You might be dealing with another Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus. You might be dealing with another Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. You might be dealing with another Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. It all depends on who you're dealing with, right? That's how it goes. But during the week, it's the way how it goes in that way. It can comply to you, but this is how it is in that way, right? That's how it works, right? That's how it goes. So this oracle card, it says love. I commit to the practice of seeing the good in all things. That's how it goes. When you are in love, or when you have love, or you have, all kinds of love, whether if it's your grandparents, if it's your relatives, whether if it's, anything that you can think of, you understand about how it goes, right? So when you are having your love, whatever it is, you have to understand that. That's how it is. But you have to understand that, right? So when love does how it is, that's how it seems to be in that way, and that's how it goes in that way. So you understand that, right? So you have to believe that when you have love, you have that category, but the way how this is in that way, you have to go with the flow in that way, okay? So that's how it goes. But the way how this is, I hope you all like it. Please get a like, please get a comment if you want. But the way how this is the way it seems to be. So this is how it's going to be in that way, and this is what's going to be happening in that own theory of knowing what it is in that way. This is how it seems to be in that way. So this is the way it goes. So here we go. So in this wonderful reading, this is going to be a huge reading, by the way. So you have the two pentacles upright, you're balancing two things at once. So you might be dealing with a Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus. The Emperor's reverse, there's no nourishment, that's how it goes in that way. The Chariot reverse, there's no progress yet, you're not making any progress yet. The two launches are you're planning on something, so you might be dealing with another Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. The Knight of Swords are there's drama here, so it might be drama during this week. And the Judgment is upright, you're taking action of it, and the Five Wands are there's chaos. Alright, so that's how it goes. But during this week, during of what's going to comply of how it's going to be, you have to understand of what's happening in that theory, and you have to know about the way how this is in that way. So this is how it is. So I'm going to clarify that during this week. So I'm going to clarify from the Judgment all the way to the two Pentacles. So Six Pentacles upright, there's kindness. The Ten Cups reversed, there's incompletion. Ten Cups upright, there's support. Chariot upright, there's progress. Queen Pentacles reversed. Ace of Wands reversed. Page Pentacles reversed. But the Six of Swords upright, yeah. So there is basically movement here. This is how it goes. You have basically your own support. You have progress. You're being like everything. You're having kindness. Things are going to be going as planned. Things are going to be as the way how it goes during this week. So it could happen between Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, or it could happen between Thursday, Friday, and Saturday as it goes. But during this week, during of how it's going to expand of how you're feeling, that's how it goes in that way. So it's like, okay, everything seems to be fine, but you have to know exactly how it is. You're trying to read between the lines, but there always a silver lining, right? To the way how it goes, and it has to be all great, right? This is the way it goes. And when you understand that, that's how it is in that way. So you have to understand that, because you have to remember that what complies to you will depend on during this week. It could be that, right? That's how it goes in that way. What's between this Empress card all the way to this Knight of Swords? Seven Pentacles reverse, Seven Swords is upright, followed by the Ten Wands reverse, Five Wands reverse, the Knight of Swords reversed, the Seven Cups reversed, the Two of Pentacles upright. So you're balancing two things at once, right? So that's how it goes. You might be feeling like you're feeling deceit. You know, things are not going as planned. Things are not going as the way how it goes. Just like everything's gonna be all trying to how it is in that way. It's like, well, I don't want to do this. I understand I'm balancing two things at once. I got this. But it's like, well, this is how it is, right? You're acting like everything's all fine and dandy, and you're feeling like, you know, everything's all great. But you have to understand that. So you have to believe what works, what doesn't. But the way how this is, you're trying to be sincere. You're trying to get what you want. You're trying to observe of how it is. That's how it goes. And when things to be very certainty, you know what it is in that way because you're trying to go with the flow. When you go with the flow, you know what it is in that way because everything has to be all great. You know, this is like the not going to be the nitty-gritty part, but the way how this is the way it goes. You have to understand that because this is the way how it goes. This is not the periodic table. This is not, you know, science. This is not. But the way how this is, you're trying to understand of what you get, what you want in that way, right? That's how it goes. What's between these Five Wands here? Death card yours, there's no endings. The King Wands is alright. So you're trying to act like everything's all fine, dandy, but it's like, why are you doing it? Why is that everything's not going as planned? It's like, oh well, this is gonna be very interesting. I don't want to do this, but then you have to understand that, you know, life is basically the way how it goes, right? You have to understand, but during this week, this is the way how it goes, whether you like it or not, whether you're gonna have based, you know, how it is. Like I say, you might be focusing on another Gemini, Aquarius. You might be focusing on another Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus. You know, you might be focusing on another Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. There are things they need to understand to comply with what you're doing in that way. It's like you're trying to go with the flow, and when you go to do that, that's how it goes. So let's see what's going on in the middle of this situation, please. Nine of Pentacles here. Yeah, because you're feeling uncomfortable. You're feeling like, why I'm feeling uncomfortable during this week, you know? And when this is very happening, it's like, well, this is not going to end well. It's not, because you're trying to focus of the here and now process, right? This is the way it works. This is the way how it goes, and that's how it seems to be, right? So like that's the way it kind of goes in that way. So let me clarify between the middle and left side, please. The Hermit's upright because there's solitude. Hierophant is upright, there's guidance. Sagittarius, and Deceit. World is upright, there's completion. Yes, that's how it goes in that way because it's like, oh, everything's completed. Alright, I know what to do. It's like, yes, but in theory, what's based on that? Like, what's behind it, you know? And when that is a very interesting way, it's like, okay, you know, I have my own, you know, I'm going to have my own hermit mode. I'm being in my hermit mode. I'm being like where I'm going to be staying in the house all day or whatever it is. Or you're trying to look for a soulmate, or you're trying to have guidance, or you're trying to have completion. It all depends on what's going on, right? That's how it goes. When you find love, when you have opportunities, you understand that. That's how it's based on that. That's between the middle and the right side, please. Death reverse, there's no ending. Star reverse, there's basically no transformation. Lovers reverse, there's no decisions. The Emperor reverse, there's no structure. Exactly. So when you have no structure, you know, based on that, you know, this is how it is because that's the way it kind of works. So you have to try to know what's happening. So I'm going to clarify. This Seven of Swords about. The Death card here, there's no endings. The Lovers card, there's decisions. The Strength card. So it does represent strength, you're being bravery, but it does represent where you may be focusing on the Scorpio as a way, or another Leo, as I'm going to say. Because you're focusing about another Leo as a fire sign, as another zodiac sign, so you pay attention to what's going on that way. It's like everything has to be all great, but then how you're going to do that in that way. Also between this Emperor card, is reverse, or Devil's upright, there's violence. Magician's reverse, there's no skill. Hermit reverse, there's no solitude. Moon is upright, there's misrotations. Yeah, so you know what's going to be happening in that way. You're trying to know that you're trying to have a boastful move, but the way of this is you're trying to be sincere. You're trying to know that everything seems to be happening all at once, and you're thinking, well, this is going to be very interesting indeed. It's like, yes, how it is. What's in the middle of the situation? Three of Fortunes are right, yeah, because you're having good luck on your side, because that's how it goes. You're trying to have good luck during this week, because that's the way it goes. So it's like everything has to be all great, but you have to understand that that's the way it goes, right? So everything has to be all great, but then when things are not happening all at once, or you're thinking that you're trying to have a good week, you're trying to pay attention on what you're going through, because that's how it's based on that. You're trying to have like all kindness. You're trying to do exactly what it takes, because that's how it goes. So you understand that the way how it is. What's happening with the Strength card about? The War of the Years, there's incompletion. The Star of the Years, there's misrotations. The Hangman is right, there's restrictions. Yes, because when you have restrictions, it's like you're being restricted because you don't know what to do. And when you're being restricted, it's like you can't go out, or you're having a curfew, or you're not having a good day, or whatever it is. Because you have to understand about what are you most vulnerable, or you have, what your accountability is, because you understand that. That's how it goes from the right or wrong perspective. That's all you can do. But it's based on that, right? It's based on how you can do it in that way. What's happening with this Moon card here? The Fool of the Years, there's no change. The Strength card is already being bravery. Magician is already you're having skill. Yeah, because that's how it goes. You're trying to reach upon what the universe is saying. You're trying to go with the flow. So it's like, okay, everything seems to be fine. It's like that's how it goes. So let's see what's going on with this Wheel of Fortune here. The Hand is upright. There's restrictions. The Judge is already you're basically taking action. Yeah, exactly. That's how it goes. Because you're sounding the alarm. You're trying to know what it takes. Because that's how it goes. If there's everything that's restricted, that's the way it goes. But you have to understand that you're trying to pan out your own horizons, whatever it is, right? That's how it goes in that way. It's like, okay, this is how it goes, all right, because this is the way it seems to be. This is like almost a boastful move, but you know what it is in that way. You're trying to go with the flow. Whenever you go with the flow, you know what it is in that way. That's how it goes. What's between this Hangman situation? The Sun card is upright, there's positivity. The Chariot is upright, there's progress. Yes, exactly. That's how it goes. So you're trying to stay positivity. You're going to have positivity. You have progress during this week because you pay attention. So it could happen between Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It could happen on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It all depends on that, right? It all depends about how this rating is going to go in that way, right? Because that's how it goes. But that's how it seems to be in that way, because you have to understand that. So let me clarify the Strength card and this Magician. The Temperance is upright, there's healing. Magician reverse, there's no skill. The Emperor reverse, there's no structure. But the Knight of Wands is alright, there's immaturity. Yeah, because things are not going as planned, but then it's like you're trying to act like everything seems to be fine, but you're acting like you're being immature, or whatever it is, right? So you might be doing it in a Leo, Aries, Sagittarius in that way, because you know what it is, but you're trying to go with the flow. You're trying to know what works, what doesn't in that way, because that's how it goes. You're trying to believe that everything's fine, but when you're feeling like you're being uncomfortable or anything else, it's like you're trying to say something and saying, well, back off, leave me alone, whatever it is, but then you have to understand of what's going to be happening in that way, right? Because you're trying to do exactly what it is, because you're trying to be boastful, you're trying to know what it takes, because that's how it goes in that way. What's between this Hangman and this Judgment? Well, because I just clarified, now the Judgment is over, there's action. Yeah, because you're going to take action during this week. What's between the Chariot and the Sun card here? The Six Swords, sorry, there's movement. Yeah, so it does represent where you might be, dealing with another Gemini recurs in that way, but there are things that you need to understand that in the way of how this is going to be uplifting you in that way, because you're trying to figure out what's happening. So let me see what's happening with the Six of Swords here. The Chariot is upright, there's progress. High Priest reverse, there's no inner voice. The Hermit is upright, yeah, because you might be looking for a soulmate, or you might be looking for solitude or whatever it is, because that's how it's based on that in that way. It's like, oh well, this seems to be interesting. I know what to do, but then this is how it goes, right? That's how it seems to be. What's happening with this Judgment card? The Fool is upright. There's change. The Tower reverse. There's no transformation. Emperor reverse. There's no structure. Justice reverse. You're not telling the truth. Wheel of Fortune reverse. You're having bad luck. The Star reverse. There's no inspiration. The Emperor's reverse. There's no nourishment. High Priestess is upright. You're using your inner voice. Yeah, because that's how it goes in that way, right? That's how it seems to be. So you understand about what's going on in that way, because you know how to be professional about it, right? So if you're using your inner voice, you're using it as a, plan to do that. That's how it goes, right? So you have to believe in order to do that. That's the way it goes, right? So you're trying to monologue your own situations to understand that, right? That's how it's going to be in that way. It's like, alright, I know what to do, alright? Because if you're trying to pan out between the love, you know how it is in that way. It's like, okay, everything seems to be fine. But that's how it goes. So let me clarify this Chariot and this Hermit card. The Taurus is upright, there's healing. Empress is upright, there's nourishment. The Warrior is upright, there is incompletion. Yeah, because that's how it goes in that way. So you're trying to know what's going to be happening during Monday and Tuesday, during that week. It could happen between Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. It always depends on during those days, because that's how it goes in that way. So it's like, you know what it is in that way, because you're trying to go with the flow, right? And when you do that, that's how it goes. What's between this High Priestess, please? The Fool is upright, there's change. The Chariot is upright, there's progress. Wheel of Fortune reverse is bad luck. The Strength of the reverse, so you're not being brave, because you're being scared. The Justice reverse, you're not telling the truth. High Priestess reverse, or the Hierophant reverse, there's no guidance. The Moon reverse is misrepresentation. Star reverse, there's no inspiration. The High Priestess reverse, there's no invoice. Wow. The Judgment reverse, there's no action. But the Judgment is already, you're taking action in that way. So I'm going to leave it there. What's between this Night Ones and the Temperance? The Hermit is upright, yeah, because you're looking for a soulmate. You're looking for solitude. You're looking for what's going to be taking on in that way. You're trying to see that everything seems to be fine, but then it's like, no, it's not. Like, I don't want to hesitate, or I'm trying to think that everything seems to be fine. It's like, yes, but how would it be possible to make it possible? So let me see what's going on the left side, please. Taurus is upright, there's transformation, alright? So everything's changing, alright? What's in the middle? Taurus is upright, there's basically resting, or you're feeling like you're gonna have healing in that way. That's how it goes. What's on the right side? The 5 wands reverse, there's no chaos. Alright, so during this week, between Monday and Tuesday, and Wednesday, the way how this is, I'm going to clarify this Tower card on the left side. So the Wheel of Fortune reverse, there's going to be having bad luck. 8 wands reverse, there's no speed. But 9 Pentacles you're going to feel comfortable. Yes, you're going to be feeling like everything's going to be fine. Alright, that's how it goes. That's a good start. But then how this is going to comply to you, that's how it is in that way. So you might be focusing on another Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus in that way, right? That's how it goes. So you might be, dealing with it in that way. You might be dealing with another Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus. You might be dealing with another Gemini, Aquarius. You might be dealing with another Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. That's how it goes in that way, right? So it does happen during the way about on this left side of this category here. What's between in the middle of this 4 of Swords here? The Hangman reverse, there's no restrictions. 4 1 Star, there's celebration. Page of Pentacles reverse, there's no prospects. 3 of Swords Star, there's heartbreak. Yeah, because you might be feeling sad, you might be whimpering. because that's how it goes. You're trying to like maybe find the soulmate, maybe you're not. But it all depends on how it goes. You might have celebration. You might be, depending on that way, you might be trying to figure out that everything's all visible to you. But that's how it goes, right? That's how it seems to be. So you might be doing with another Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. You might be doing with another Leo, Aries, Sagittarius in that way. So it could be during that week. So it could be Wednesday or Thursday in that possibility, because that's how it goes, right? Let's see what's going on with this 5 of Wands here. The Chariot's upright, there's progress. The Swords are upright, there's drama. Ace of Swords, there's no anxiety. Ten of Swords, there's no healing. Ace of Cups, there's no love, abundance of love. But the way how this is about the Sun card, you have positivity. So you might be staying positive between Thursday, Friday, Saturday in that way, because this is how it's going to be in that way. So it's like everything's going to be all great, but then it's like how you're going to be doing that in that way is like, alright, you know what to do, but then that's how it goes. So let's see what the universe is saying here. So let me go from the middle to the right, middle to left. Page of Swords, there's education. Wheel of Fortune, yours is going to be having bad luck. 5 of Wands, yours, there's no chaos. Page of Cups, there's loyalty. 5 of Swords, there's revenge. Yeah, so you might be having conflict here. You might be having loyalty. You might have bad luck. You might have things that are not happening. That's how it goes in that way. So, that's how it goes in that criteria. That's the way it goes. Let's between the middle and the left side. 9 of Wands, there's immaturity. King of Pentacles, there's no security. 9 of Cups, there's no fulfillment. Queen of Swords, there's no independence. Queen of Pentacles, there's stability. Yes, exactly. If you're not showing your independence, it's like, why are you doing it in that way? It's like, that's how it goes. So it's like everything has to be all great, but you know how it is in that way. You're trying to believe that everything's fine in that way, in that how that is in that way. What's the middle of this situation? 8 of Pentacles, there's no perfection. There's no decisions. Page of Wands, there's invention. Alright, what's the opposite? 10 of Swords, there's no healing. Queen of Cups, there's no empathy. 7 of Swords, you're feeling deceit. Yeah, in that way. So, during this week, that's how it goes in that way. So you might be focusing on another Gemini, Libra, Aquarius in that way. You might be focusing on another Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus, Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. So there is 12 zodiac signs in this situation, because that's how it goes, right? So that's how it is. But the way how this is, I hope you all like this video. Please give a like, please give a comment if you want, but this is the way it seems to be, and I hope you all like it in that way. This is seems to be. So I hope you all like it. Please give a like, please give a comment if you want, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much, and have a good day. Thank you. Bye for now. Really, thanks, and bye.